Now, the shares of Tesla crashing today, posting their biggest intraday drop since July after the end of its IPO, the initial public offering lockup period, meaning that insiders can now sell stock. Now, for more on the decline and the future of the electric vehicle manufacturer, we're joined now by Nat Goldhaber. He is a managing director at Claremont Creek Ventures. Nat, welcome to Bloomberg.
Thank you so much.
So explain exactly what is this lockup period and what does it mean for the future of Tesla shares? Because now that people can sell shares, there are more shares coming on the market.
Absolutely. And when there's greater supply, generally speaking, prices go down. I think what we saw was some anticipatory selling on the people who already had liquid shares prior to the lockup coming off, and then a bunch of founders and probably even an occasional VC actually moving some of their shares into the marketplace.
But
the larger question is...
I was going to say, but does this indicate, as you said, the larger question, does this indicate that the future of the company is not so bright?
I don't think that this necessarily is correlated with the future of the company. I think this really is a sort of epiphenomenon of the fact that we have 6-month lockup periods on companies after the IPO. An appropriate rule, but nonetheless one that has these kinds of deleterious effects from time to time.
What do you think about the prospects for the company? Do you think that their battery technology is something that they can sell to other companies profitably?
Well, Toyota and Daimler seem to think that their battery technology is pretty good. I actually think that if Tesla is successful long term, it is unlikely to be because they are a manufacturer of automobiles, and much more likely that they are a manufacturer or IP holder for the components that create electric vehicles for other manufacturers.
Do you believe that the future for electric vehicles is bright when you take into account the Chevy Volt that's coming onto the market?
Well, you know, I live in Berkeley, so, you know, it has the highest per capita number of Priuses anywhere in the universe. I think it's difficult to sort of disambiguate what I see in the street from what I think is really happening sometimes. Nonetheless, I do think that electric vehicles are a likely candidate for the garages of many Americans in the not too distant future if we can get price and performance to the place where it fits the American pocketbook.
Well, at the moment, the pocketbook seems to be subsidized by the U.S. taxpayer. Do you think that will continue for, let's say, the next 5 years?
I suspect yes. Of course, we'll see what happens in the next presidential election. But it strikes me likely that either a Republican or a Democratic administration will continue to, at least in some measure, forward price electric vehicles, particularly domestically grown ones, so that we can do the combination of creating more jobs and creating greater energy efficiency, which, after all, in principle at least, is the reason that we're doing this.
Nat, what about investing in the actual infrastructure that's going to be necessary to charge these vehicles at either public garages or indeed at individual homes?
I think that's extremely interesting, and as a venture capitalist, it is an area that I'm looking at intensely. I believe that the intelligence for the grid needs to belong at the edge of the grid, namely in people's homes and in businesses, light industry and heavy industry. That's where it needs to be, and I think there's a lot of opportunity in the creation of the combination of solar with local charging, whether it is charging to offset electrical utilization in the same building when the sun isn't shining, or whether it is to charge your electric vehicle.
What about the competition from other electric vehicle makers, whether it is Toyota and the Prius, as you mentioned, but also the Nissan Leaf and also the smart car from Daimler? They've got an electric version coming.
Right. Well, Daimler, of course, is a partner, at least to some extent, unknown behind the covers, with our friends at Tesla. And Toyota, of course, also is a partner. So it strikes me as at least likely that some component of the Tesla design, battery pack, or other component of the vehicle will end up being in the cars that ship from Japan and from Germany. Nissan is not a licensee, to the best of my knowledge, and so their stuff is their own.
Nat, what would it take to get you into an electric vehicle?
The right price point and reasonable range. I think And of course, it would be pleasant if the car sort of was, as the fit and finish of the car approximated that, for example, of a BMW or something like that.
All right, I want to thank you very much. Nat Goldhaber coming to us from Claremont Creek Ventures, talking about Tesla and the future of electric cars.